been with us before, the Michigan Insider. Sam, I can imagine it's been quite a busy day. Kind of take us through this entire story. Good afternoon.
Hey, Paul. Yeah, it's quite the shocker to hear the news, jolting news. The rumors have been swirling for a while now. This is not a new rumor, but I think where the shock comes from is that the perception was that they had looked into this and didn't find anything. Um, the rumors I think date back to the fall. Um, so obviously they were initially denied. They were looked into, and clearly, if they had found something at that time, he would have been dismissed. So something that they found here in the last 24 hours resulted in some evidence that was so compelling that Ward Manuel felt he had no choice but to dismiss him because even without all of that information, you could see that they were clearly of the mind that Sherrone Moore, despite whatever rumors that had been swirling, they were clearly had seen nothing to make them think that he wasn't going to be their coach moving forward. He had just hired Kerry Combs as his special teams coordinator a couple of days ago or over the weekend. So he was moving forward business as usual, and then here very abruptly, he's out. So inappropriate relationship. I think you're if you're Ward Manuel, you're deeply disappointed. You're disappointed because obviously you had misconduct from an employee, but you also feel you feel like you were lied to. On top of that, the misconduct. I think the distrust that was clearly present here leaves him feeling probably a sense of betrayal. And now you got to move on and try to find another coach after you get through this bowl game.
It's just so unfortunate because I know that the ladies may not necessarily be familiar with this because this is sports talk and this is talk that has been happening in my group chat. So I had to come in and have this conversation, but I'm not even having it from the lens of how does this affect the University of Michigan head coaching job. I'm having this from the lens of you got fired for an inappropriate relationship with a staffer. You lost one of the most prestigious jobs. And now, according to ESPN, and I'm going to deep dive into that in a minute, the Saline police is now arresting him, which he'll probably face some level of charges as a result of it. I don't know if this is true or not, and so I always like to operate with a little bit more of caution to make sure that we're having this conversation in truth. And I also believe in innocent until proven guilty when it comes to being arrested in a court of law. And I've been consistent with that across the board, whether you're a celebrity, a coach, a regular individual human being, unless we actually see it on camera in real time and that's what you actually did and that's what you're being charged for, then it's a completely different conversation. But I'm telling you, I see guys all the time. This will happen as long as the Earth is continuing to spin on its axis, and guys are going to fumble the bag over some box. I don't care how many millions of dollars that they make. I don't care, and I'm a pull up his salary of what he was making really quickly because the bag matters, and we gonna get into this on the Millionaire Morning Show. His annual salary was $6.1 million. He had a $5.5 million base plus bonuses and other with a $500,000 retention bonus totaling roughly $30 million over the deal. He was only there since January 2024. He had a 5-year contract. Here, let me share this with you guys because I don't want you to just be taking my word for it. I want you to actually see it with your own eyes. He had a 5-year contract, okay, annually at 6.1 million, totaling $30.5 million over the deal. Recently fired with cause in 2025, obviously impacting his final payout despite the substantial earnings during his tenure. His salary ranked amongst the Big Ten's top coaches with potential performance bonuses for winning, though his firing for cause complicated his exit from the program. So now the question that we have to ask is, will he still get a portion of that? And more importantly, how does this affect your future earnings? Because it's not just the $30.5 million, the portion of it that you're missing out on. We're also talking about future deals after the 5 year. Would you would have been a re-up with the University of Michigan? If not, would you have been able to find another head coaching job? How does this affect you? And I would assume that one of the reasons, as this information comes out, right, one of the reasons why they had to fire him is because, I'm assuming that the woman probably put some level of charges or sued the university, and the university didn't want that liability that came along with it once they found more information, as being reported by ESPN and other sources. Then they had to go ahead and let him go, and he fumbled the bag. Oh my God, how do you fumble $30 million? It ain't no woman in the world that's going to get me to fumble $30 million. I know we have arguments over, whether or not you should spend $100 million over Odell Beckham Jr., and we minding that out. But to fumble the bag because of an inappropriate relationship because you couldn't keep your dick in your pants, got to put the bag over the women. Got to put the bag over the women. Nobody is going to be happy when we living in a po house, ESPN goes on to report less than an hour ago, as of the recording of this video, that he was detained by police in Saline, Michigan, on Wednesday, and was later turned over to a second area police department for investigation into potential charges. So now it's escalating from an inappropriate relationship to now thinking about charges, because we all know that once you, and I'm just, listen, worst case scenario, it was somebody that was underage. Thank God that that's not the case, because we don't want that ever to be levied against somebody, or that it was some kind of domestic violence situation or something like that, right? Especially in the light of this Diddy documentary. But it goes on to say the city of Saline Police Department assisted in locating and detaining the former University of Michigan coach Sherrone Moore. The department said in a statement released to ESPN, Mr. Moore was turned over to the Pittsfield Township Police Department for investigation into potential charges. University of Michigan fired Moore as head football coach earlier on Wednesday, that is today, following an investigation into Moore's conduct with a staff member. U of M head football coach has been terminated with cause effective immediately, the school said in a statement. Following the university investigation, credible evidence was found that Coach Moore engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. The conduct constitutes a clear violation of university policy, and U of M maintains a zero tolerance. Zero. It is outlined probably in his contract for such behavior. He spent 2 seasons as Michigan's head coach after serving as an assistant coach with the program beginning in 2018, which he then got that nod from ex-Michigan football coach Jim Harbaugh. All right, so this is what's happening over at the University of Michigan, but more importantly, this is what's happening as far as guys continuing to fumble the bag. Now, it's one thing to be falsely accused. It's another thing for them to find evidence and to fire you with cause. And I'm always going to be on the side of the person that is being accused until evidence is presented otherwise. This had largely been speculated about, but again, you just don't even put yourself in a position ever since the Me Too movement and guys was getting falsely accused for stuff that they didn't do or whatever. Now, for you to get and engage in a relationship with a staff member, you could have done a lot of different things. You could have went and got a chick for the streets. Not that I'm advocating for you to get a chick for the streets, but you could have went and got a chick for the streets. You could have done a lot of things, but you put your bag on the line. And one thing is for certain, and 2 things is for sure. You never put your bag on the line. And you always make sure that you can feed your family. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tab into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Again, of course, we're going to have this conversation probably on After Hours tomorrow. And then in addition to that, we'll have the conversation on the Millionaire Morning Show. I love you. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to keep y'all in the loop.